How do I know if something is slang? How do I know if something is an idiom? How do I know if something is a phrasal verb? How are they different? When can I use them? Let's start with slang, because we need to be careful when we use slang. Slang is very, very informal. Slang is usually just one word that a group of people use instead of the original word. For example, cigarette, if someone smokes cigarettes. In one city, they might use the word cigarette. In another city, they might have a slang word that they use. For example, jack, fag, deuce, something like this. These are words that will be understood in one city or one country, but will not be understood or used in a different city or a different country. Two reasons why you probably don't want to use a lot of slang if you are communicating in an international environment. One, it doesn't sound very professional. Two, many people will not understand it because different countries and different cities have different slang, and they don't know the slang from the other countries, from the other cities. So that's slang. It's usually just one word that people use instead of the original word. Then idioms. Idioms are used all the time by native speakers, and you can use them in probably any country, any city, and a native speaker should understand you. And some people use idioms all the time. I don't use them very much because usually I'm not speaking to native speakers. But what is an idiom? An idiom is when you have a group of words that when you hear them, they don't really make sense. For example, straight from the horse's mouth. If you hear that in a conversation, straight from the horse's mouth, you might think, what? Why are we talking about horses? What is coming from the horse's mouth? And that's because an idiom is a group of words that have a different meaning from the real meaning. It doesn't mean what it sounds like it means. That's an idiom. I recommend learning them because we use them all the time. However, I personally don't use them very often. But they are appropriate for most situations, unlike slang, which is not appropriate for many situations. Finally, we have phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are very similar to idioms because all native speakers use them. However, we use them more often than we use idioms. We use them many times each day. They're similar to idioms because we use them all the time, we use them often, everyone understands them, and the meaning is different from the original meaning of the words. For example, throw up. Throw and up, but actually throw up means to vomit. To throw up. So the meaning of the phrasal verb is different from the meaning of throw and up. And the reason that phrasal verbs are different from idioms is that a phrasal verb is verb, preposition. Throw up, hang out, check in. And they're quite similar to idioms, but idioms often have a noun in them, and they do not necessarily have a verb and a preposition. The basic thing I want you to understand here is that phrasal verbs and idioms can be used all the time with all native speakers. They are appropriate for most situations. With slang, you need to be much more careful because slang is used in this place but not in this place. It's used by these people, but it's not understood by these people.